pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Need the approval of the budget minutes from 7/15/2020. Gibson, through regular meeting 8/11/2020. No objection. Through budget meeting 8/11/2020. Budget meeting 8/2020. And budget hearing 8/27/2020. Then did everybody have a chance to see the treasurer's report? A bunch of nods. The clerk's report from June 30th.
Yes.
Department reports. Health department.
I gave everyone our report. The foods we don't have in the dog bites because that person has been on for a couple of days. So if anyone has any questions on any of the other stuff, I'd be more than happy to go over any of that with you.
Any questions for the health department? Jim, do you have anything? Derek?
I gave you a copy of the election report, that's all I have.
Any other department reports? Old business, looks like we have none. Superior Court requested a deed appropriation of $23,000. No, that's for.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to go ahead? Okay. So originally, earlier this year, we had asked for a budget for the public defender's office of $350,000. I believe at that time you guys appropriated $300,000, asking if you had to do it all at once. And Wendy said it was okay to wait. And I think you wanted to see what the courts had left, what they could give us out of their budgets for this year too. So Superior Court is giving us a total of $25,000. I think it was $23,000 out of pauper fees, and then there was another account that had $2,000 in interpreter fees that they were going to give to us. So a total of $25,000 from Superior. And then Circuit Court is giving us $10,074. So today I'm asking if you'll give the Public Defender's Office $15,000 so we can finish our budget for this year.
It's not the wrong agenda.
That's the only thing. So I'm still running on the same budget that I asked for originally. It's just that you guys shorted me $50,000 for my original budget. But since I'm getting money from the courts, we just need $15,000 to finish my budget for this year.
If they're getting money from the courts, it'll be
Transfer.
appropriate.
Mhm.
Can we transfer it?
I think so.
What?
They're transferring from the court to the.
We have to do an additional though for the whole amount, for the whole
Yeah.
50, yeah,
Originally, we discussed it, and we thought a transfer would work, but it won't.
okay.
So that's why we're de-appropriating,
Okay.
doing a whole additional.
Yeah, so 50 instead of just the 15.
For the additional, but you're de-appropriating the.
Superior- Superior Court requesting the appropriation of 23,000 from 410131 Popper Attorney and 2,000 from 410133 Interpreter Services for a total of 25,000. Need a motion to advertise for the appropriation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And then the appropriation and additional from the county general in the amount of 25,000 into 1,043.0333 contract attorneys in the public defender fund. So we have to advertise for what we just appropriated to go back into the public defender.
I'll make a motion to advertise.
Have a motion, have a second. Any questions or comments on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Circuit Court requested the appropriation of 10,074 from 360314 Popper expenses. Need a motion to de-appropriate that.
So moved.
Have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Then need to advertise to go into the public defender fund, 1,043.0333, amount of $10,074. Have a motion. Dan motion, second. Any questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Public defender requests additional appropriation for contract attorneys to finish the year. You said that was 15,000?
Yeah.
And is that the same line the other ones were?
Yeah.
1,043.0333. Is that just was a, that's, okay.
The total's 50.
Okay, yeah, never mind. What is that, 35? What the others? So, entertain a motion.
So moved.
Mike, still, that, have a second.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
Just a question on that. So it was estimated it'll take a total of 50. I was doing some other things, I guess, to finish out the year. And that's to pay for the contract for the attorneys
Yeah,
that used to operate through the pauper funds and all that. And
yeah, the 50,000 that we were short, they just shorted the contract attorney account for the year. That's the account they shorted when the auditor's office entered our budget in.
that was entered in there mid-year whenever we made that
Right,
change.
yeah, so it's not extra money, it's the same budget I was asking you guys.
Same
for.
budget, it was just.
Right,
Is this a must right now?
we have to pay our contract attorneys for the rest of the year. If we don't, we have to go back to paying their writing hours, so.
We
yeah.
have to.
Has to be.
You
We
approved
haven't
the
got all the
budget.
money in the world.
Originally, you
The budget
requested
already.
350, we gave you 300. And
Right.
so you
And
can't
Yeah,
vote.
so it's not any more money than,
No.
I mean, till, for the, in the next budget?
Have a motion and second. Any other? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll go with it, but I question it at this time. Sorry.
that's okay.
Okay, Paul.
Paul Waters with Gibson County Economic Development. Before you, you've got a presentation from Nebraska on the solar project. And we have two representatives, at least on the telephone or Zoom call, from Nebraska, if you need to ask them any questions, and they have a representative here, Dave Gibson, and he will lead the presentation.
Frank, I think, I'll flip it to the folks on the phone who can walk us through the presentation.
Go ahead, Jared.
Okay, great. Good morning, Gibson County Council and members of the Gibson County community. Thank you for having us on the agenda today. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. And let's see here. I do have a few slides here to present. If I could get it pulled up, let me try to share my screen.
Hang on, Jared, I'll share with you. If I can. I've got it here, go ahead.
Okay, perfect, great. Well, thanks again. And again, we provided a few short slides here, but we did want to provide a brief, introduction to the companies and to our Elliott Solar project in Gibson County. So we can go ahead and jump to the second slide here. Let me see if I'm in. Perfect. So the project name is Elliott Solar, and that's a 200 megawatt solar project that we're planning for Gibson County. But before we go into the project details, we did want to provide just a brief background on the two main companies developing this project. So Capital Dynamics and Tenaska have a long relation history of developing solar projects. And at the moment, we're actually working with Capital Dynamics on over 8,000 megawatts of solar projects across the United States. But a little background on the two companies. Capital Dynamics is the project owner, and Tenaska is working as a partner to Capital Dynamics to develop these projects. So Tenaska is the main company responsible for developing the project and getting it into construction. And then Capital Dynamics plans to be the long-term owner and operator of the project. And Capital Dynamics is one of the largest investors in renewable energy in the world. They have a dedicated business to investing in renewable projects like this across the world. And they are currently the second largest owner of solar in North America, owning over 3,000 megawatts of solar to date. And then Tenaska, who Timberly and myself work for, is a Nebraska, US-based energy company that has been developing power projects for over 35 years. And over that time have developed over 10,000 megawatts of energy projects, primarily focused in North America, and have a very strong reputation for having our projects being safe, efficient, and environmentally responsible. So a little background on the Elliott Solar project. As mentioned earlier, this is a planned 200 megawatt project size, which, to put a little bit of context around what that means, a project of this size would power roughly 40,000 homes, which would be more than enough to power all of the current residents in Gibson County during the peak hours. From a location standpoint, and we'll show a map here as part of the SB1 form, but we have hundreds of acres that are under lease just south and east of the town of Francisco within Gibson County. And we are dedicated to being quiet neighbors with this project, and anticipate the solar panel height being no more than 12 feet high. So a very small, minimal impact to this community, given the way that we're going about designing this project. Another key aspect of this project, not for the area, but for Indiana, is just the low price electricity that a solar project like this is going to offer. We're seeing, pretty much every major utility across Indiana today making big steps to go towards more solar and renewable energy, primarily driven by the cost, given the low price that those technologies afford today. One of the key things that led us to this project area is Vectren has the Francisco substation just east of Francisco, and that's where we're planning to tie into the transmission grid with this project at the Vectren Francisco substation. And from that substation, the energy will get delivered, throughout the state. And then the last point we wanted to mention was we're anticipating a 35-year useful life with this project, and anticipate that the project will be operating sometime in 2022 or 2023. So there's a long period of time that we anticipate this project will be operating and provide, significant benefits to the county, which we'll talk about on the next slide here. From an investment standpoint, and actually, let me just take a quick step back. So we worked with Dr. Kenneth Richards with the University of Indiana on an economic impact study for this project. And the numbers that we're showing on this slide are the output from that study that we did with the University of Indiana. So from an investment standpoint, we are looking at an anticipated $170 million capital investment from this project. And then from a construction job standpoint, when considering both direct and indirect jobs, we're anticipating almost 300 full-time equivalents during the construction period, which we're anticipating will be 14 months for the project. And impact to the local GDP during the construction period is estimated to be over $32 million. And then during the operating period of the project, which is planned to be for 35 years, when considering both direct and indirect jobs, we're anticipating 11 full-time equivalents to support this project, which would have almost $1 million a year impact on the county GDP during the operating period. And in addition to these other benefits, there will be significant benefits in terms of taxes that the project will pay on property taxes, as well as other good services that will be brought to the county by way of this project investment. So we did want to provide those economic benefits here as part of our presentation today. Okay, so then on the SB1 form, we did want to just highlight a few things. So if it's possible to jump over to the SB1 form that we've provided, we can go ahead and do so here.
Do I have that one, Jared? They have a copy in their hand.
Okay. Let me just pull that up here. Okay, so on the SB1 form, just a few things we wanted to highlight. Section 1 of the SB1 form just talks about the project company, Elliott Solar, which is wholly owned by Capital Dynamics through Midwest Solar DevCo. So, that was, the first thing I wanted to highlight. In Section 2, this talks about the location of the project, and as we talked about briefly in my presentation previously, we're located kind of south and east of the town of Francisco, which puts us in Center and Barton townships from a location standpoint. And we also have put in here that the completion date will be no later than December of 2023. As I mentioned earlier, we're anticipating that this project will be operating sometime in 2022, 2023, but we have put kind of that end date of 2023 in SB1 form here. And then on Section 3, with respect to new jobs, we've put in 2 to 4 from a job number perspective, with an average salary of $70,000 to $100,000 a year. And then Section 4, with respect to the capital costs, we've put $150 million in here, which is the low end of what the capital cost could be. Again, consistent with our presentation, we were anticipating something closer to 170 million, but we put the low end of the range as part of our SB1 application here. So those are the things I wanted to highlight on the first page of the SB1 form here. And then I think from here we can jump to Exhibit A, which shows a map of the economic revitalization area for the project. So the red boundary indicates the locations that we are asking to be part of the ERA area for the project. We have provided, a larger boundary than we anticipate the actual final location of our project will be, but we felt like this is a good representation of the entire potential boundary of the project, as depicted in the map here in Exhibit. So I'll stop there. Hopefully this is a a good initial introduction here, and happy to answer any additional questions if there are any at the moment.
I think the depreciation schedule is something that needs to be thoroughly examined here. This is a big move in ways that it's necessary. Nobody's questioning that. But we have to look at our tax structure and like this, and of course we've had Duke all these years, and this Duke is gradually moving out. And I've given Jay a copy of a number of things, and I want to thank Kim and I want to thank Mary Ann for the figures that we've delivered to Jay this morning. This shows the Duke plant in its entirety. And that is a separate taxing entity from the utility. The utility distribution at present is handled by the Department of the Regulatory out of Indianapolis. And we don't really have any control over that, but this depreciation thing is big in our tax system. And I think the council will want to know pretty well what you're going to be asking for with regard to depreciation and how this is going to affect the tax base of Gibson County, because in itself, it's going to produce power, but it's going to produce less income than Duke plant is now producing.
Thank you.
And so this is something that I think Paul can give us an idea of where we are, but it is very important. And I don't have to tell you how tight things are, and from the standpoint, and I know the company will want to work with us, but we need to talk to the assessor and with Paul and like this. And this is very important, Paul, to know what this depreciation deal is going to do each year with regard to the amount of funds that's going to drop from one year to the next. We now have some 5-year schedules set up here on what is going to be available, because right now we have no idea what the next few years is going to bring in a way of reduction in funds. Folks, we've lost we've lost almost 700 jobs this year from last. And this is a tremendous deal on our economy. And we don't know yet, and we're gonna have to, the county's gonna have to go through 2 or 3 budgets in order to find out really how big an effect all these layoffs and all this other, and this, thing that hangs over us now, this virus, you just can't anticipate what this is going to be, but believe me, the impact over the next 2 or 3 years is going to be something. So I stress to everybody, employees and all, tighten your belt. Gibson County is going to make it through, but it's going to be tough, like a lot of other counties around us. Thank you. But that's important, Paul. That deal of 1 year to the next on how much is coming off of our tax revenue. Thank you.
Well, just to let you know, we did go before the commissioners last week and sought their approval to employ Baker Tilly for the accounting part of it, and Ice Miller and McDonald Law Office for the legal part of this project. And Tabasco and Capital Dynamics are actually paying up to an amount, I think it's $40,000 for Ice Miller, $40,000 Baker Tilly, and they will be producing information that you'll be able to look at soon, and you'll be able, and they're working with Cam and everybody else to make sure that you all are aware of what the property tax situation will be, but they're asking for a payment of that.
So we would ask the council for a joint session with commissioners on September 22nd at 4:00 p.m. in the Gibson Circuit Courtroom. Not only will representatives be there as well to answer questions. This is an informational meeting only. No voting on anything that night, just be information. It'll give you guys a couple weeks to study this, SB1, and come up with your questions for the representatives on September 22nd at 4:00. So I would ask for a motion for a special session with this solar being a special session topic, and it would just be informational. No decision can be made.
Would Jim, would you be able to make that meeting also? Would that be all? Mr. McDonald, would that be all right also?
Oh, yeah, it's open to the public.
Okay.
And that's why I'm having it in the Gibson Circuit Court. I couldn't get into the Toyota Event Center. And I know this is kind of a small venue, so once you put the commissioners in and the assessors and the other representatives, it's going to be kind of tight. We have to use people. So I've asked Judge Meade, and he graciously said that we could use the courtroom. I'll get with Andy Shaker to make sure we have access inside the building at 4:00 that evening, so on September 22nd.
Thank you.
By the way, one thing I want to mention, Jay, I want to let everybody know what a good job the finance committee of this council did, folks. You've got a good council, folks, and they did a good job on this recent budget for next year. So let's all work with these that are trying to make this thing work in a way that's going to be palatable, shall we say, for, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to have a joint special meeting September 22nd at 4 p.m. in the circuit court.
Yes,
And circuit court to discuss the solar project. Have a motion, have a second. Motion second, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That all, they just more or less
That's all I have. Do you all have anything else you'd like to discuss?
I don't think they can hear you, Paul.
Oh, okay.
They can hear you,
Yeah.
can't see.
Is there anything else you guys want to discuss today?
No, I believe this is all we were, planning for today. Mary, do you have anything else that you wanted to highlight during the meeting today?
Yes, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Mary Soliday. I'm an attorney based in Indianapolis, and I'm working with Tenasca and Capital Dynamics, and I look forward to meeting all of you on the 22nd. Just because of our video capabilities today, was there in fact a vote on the declaratory resolution? I think I heard that, but could that be confirmed?
On the revitalization retreat.
Well, yeah, we need their permission. Yeah. Sorry about that. We did present this the other day at the commissioners meeting on the ERA area, the economic revitalization area. And so I need your permission to go ahead and go through with designating this area that you see, this project as an ERA area so that we can come back and talk about tax payments.
Yes, that'd be great.
Do that. There in red, ERA area 4.
Can you just explain a little bit, if that's fairly new, what's the purpose of the ERA?
That is following the law to establish the ERA district, economic revitalization area as a area, so that you can proceed with asking for property tax.
This is not saying that we're doing anything to sink that well.
You're not doing anything, if you establish the area, we go through and project falls apart, it falls apart. So there's nothing that's binding or nothing that happens in that area unless this happens.
Paul, do you know, or Jim, do you know as far as how long councils have had to approve ERA areas? Has that been forever? I don't recall in the past abatements where we ever done that.
We usually done tax abatement in TIF areas that were already approved. I'm trying to think if we did one somewhere else. We've established one ERA here. It was.
We established one in the city of Princeton.
City of Princeton, yeah, which you didn't have anything to do with.
So I'm just,
Jim, did we establish one for UTEC, TBIN?
Yeah, just something long on the.
TBIN, I think, was the ERA.
so that whole big area down there was at one point in time established as an ERA. And I assume that like highway machine, that's probably within that footprint, so that's why we didn't do that.
Right.
Like the Gibson coal, that was an established area too. So I guess it's been done. It's just,
Yeah, what happens when you establish the area, the abatements roll off and the abatements in. Still established as an area, but the abatements are in.
So you're asking for permission?
Yes, yes, to begin that process.
I move that we give the economic development commission to move forward with establishing that ERA.
Second.
Second, any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I think I need to
Aye.
property owner within that area. All right,
So what you're doing is you're confirming a declaratory resolution to establish an ERA district. It has to be advertised, and then you have another hearing that's called, you confirm the resident of the ERA. You understand what I'm saying? first, you're doing a declaratory resolution saying, we want to declare this area an economic revitalization area. Then we advertise, right? And then you have a hearing. And then you do a confirmatory, saying we're confirming this is a ERA area. It's kind of a three-step process. Just want to make sure you're clear.
Nice.
Nothing final right now, nothing's final, it's just that we're proceeding to advertise. Mary, all right with that, John?
Yes, thank you so much.
I thought it was important to have opportunity for public input and, appreciate everybody accommodating on that, having that special meeting. So people can get all the information they need.
I will say that working with the company over the last couple of months, they've really been very professional. We've checked them out, they're a very good company. We've got a long-standing history of doing this contract.
Anything else?
How many other counties are they working with in Indiana?
I think probably answer that better than I, but I know that they have worked with Pike County and Knox County, and there may be others close. I don't know those others. Jared, would you know the other counties besides Pike or Gibson? I'm sorry, Pike, Gibson, and Knox?
That are considering solar development like this?
Yes.
Yeah, I would. Those are obviously familiar counties for us, given we have a large portfolio of solar projects that we're developing Southwest Indiana. The last I looked, there was over 30 counties in Indiana that have active solar projects, of similar size to this in development. So it is a pretty, broad footprint across the state of Indiana.
Any other questions? Thank you. Yeah, anything else, Paul? All right. Dr. Hornby to discuss the grant.
Diane's out today,
Yeah.
so there's a few grant steps going on with this right now. The CARES Act has given us $100,000 of our IT supplies and laptops and computers and programs that we're going to have to use whenever the COVID-19 vaccine is out. And we're working with Parish right now to do that, and they're supposed to be getting us a quote, and we have to send them a spending report by October the 1st. And then from October 1st to December 31st, we have to have that money spent, what we're going to use. And if we don't use the whole amount, then it goes back to the state, and then they give it to other counties that may need it or, have extra things that they need. So she's working on that right now, and like I said, it'll be like $100,000, and that's just going to be the state giving us that, and it should be deposited into the auditor's office.
How have we done that in the past? I know you can spend it in red ones, just pay back by the end of the year and all that.
It's
Do
like
we have to approve that grant? Well,
So I don't know if you want us to, once we get the spending report lined out with Parish, if you want Diane to just email everyone that, and because that's going to have to be done by October 1st. So as a time frame for us.
that's why I was thinking, because we don't need to go after that again. And we can't vote on anything by emails or anything else.
No, but you will have been advised if she does. And then we can put it on the agenda.
We want Diane to email you guys as soon as we get that and we get everything going. And
So we just need to say that we're willing to participate in the grant, and then,
Well, you've approved grants in the past. You're approving this one if you do that today, allowing them to go ahead and put this through.
And then we'll see the details when she emails them, then we'll discuss it at the next meeting.
Yeah, because it sounds like theirs is done a little bit different than some of them you've seen in the past.
So we need a motion to forward with the health department grant for computer and IT for the COVID-19.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
So,
Okay, and then our next, amount we're gonna be getting is also 100,000. And what they're gonna do is the Optum site at the fairgrounds is supposed to end the, testing on October 1st. So the state has given us monies to run that for our county from October 1st until June of next year. So it'll just be a testing site. I know Diane's gotten a hold with the fairground, and they've come up with the schedule of what's not been booked, where they're at, because we thought that it would be easier to continue, everybody knows it's at fairgrounds.
yeah.
So the money has not been deposited yet. We have talked to them. We've been approved from the state, but the contract hasn't come through. So we're not going to be doing any hiring for that site until some of the money has been deposited and the contract is signed. And what they're planning on doing is hiring a nurse to manage the site and staffing the site. So she would be like the office manager over everything, and she would be doing all the testing. And then we will need 3 staff workers. We'll have 1 clerical, 1 medical assistant, and then of course an RN every day that they're doing the testing. The RN, we've come up with $25 an hour. The medical assistant would be $17.50, and they would be trained to be able to be the backup for the nurse for the swabbing. If she goes to lunch or she, is busy. And then the clerical will be $15 an hour, and she'll have to get all the paperwork done and also enter it into the computer system that they provide for us. So, like I said, we're not going to be doing any hiring until we get the money, but that's another grant that's going to be coming through for us that we have to get started by October. And I believe she emailed everybody on that one.
Yeah, they'll be part-time employees.
They're going to be, I believe, contracted employees.
Yes, question.
Yes.
How many tests have been administered since they went out there and started doing it? Do you know?
I do not know that.
I was curious.
I know the one day they said they did over 50 tests. The one day.
Overall, you have no idea how many people.
No, I'm sure we can get that number for you guys.
For sure.
She told me at one point, like how many they were doing a week, but I forget what she said. But it was a lot, because you drive by and you never see anybody there, it seems like, but apparently they're there and gone and just don't see them.
Yeah, and they're going to do the testing kind of to help people that are working. So the test sites are going to be open from 10 to 6. So, after work, people can get out there. And then on Saturdays, it'll be 10 to 2. They may not be able to do Saturdays until November just because of the building being booked, for different things. And then they'll be closed. Right now, we're planning on being closed on Wednesday and Sunday, and then any other day they'll be running.
that was 3 positions, correct?
3 per day, so I don't know if she'll try to get 2 people to do the clerical and, so that if one of them gets sick or whatever, you're gonna have a backup. So I don't know if she'll be hiring 6 people, but it'll only be 3 paid per day, 3 people.
I make a motion that we proceed with the grant, and then the details will come
Yes.
as far as.
As soon as we get the contract and get we'll set up a time after we get money. To start interviewing.
Have a motion to move forward with the grant. Have a second. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have one more thing for you. The state has, told us that we have to be on call 24/7 for the schools. So Diane and Dana will be we purchased a phone for them to carry. So we're just wondering how you guys want us to pay that. Because, I mean, you could spend 12, 16 hours easily on the weekend with the school trying to get contacts and contacting everybody, advising them how they should do things or what they should be doing. So if you just do an 8 hour per weekend, they may go way over that 8 hours. So we didn't know if you wanted to do a set for Hatton to carry the 24/7 along with what they put in for hours, or that's, we just don't know how you make us to do that.
They're paid out now. Diane's paid yearly,
Salary,
she's paid yearly. She has no overtime,
no overtime at all.
and the other one is paid hourly.
She's paid hourly, she gets overtime now because she carries a dog phone or something.
That is that.
And we have been paying her overtime on the COVID, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But this is just came up with all the school started, so they're getting phone, right now they're not getting paid for the weekend stuff they're getting, because we didn't know how to pay them.
I don't believe Diane will get paid for it.
Well, I didn't, is there,
Because she's a director, none of the directors are.
We wondered that.
yeah, we wondered that, because I didn't know if there had to be a dollar amount that you are paid under. I'm not sure about that.
I know Chuck told her that, but that law never went through,
Okay,
and she's making, I know,
She's making all.
Yeah, because at one point in time, 3 years ago, if you were not paid, there was some talk that if you were paid under $50,000 or some number close to that, that you'd be eligible for overtime.
Right.
That never did come
No.
to be.
and right now.
The amount's like 20, 24, 28,000.
Yeah, it's not
something
that
like
much.
Yeah.
One of the other department heads told her that's
Yeah.
not, but she's making 44,360 a year.
She's well above the threshold, as I know.
Then the hourly employee.
well, and the thing is, we only have 2 nurses in our office, and they have to, it's not fair for the one to have to take it every single weekend, because she's the only one that can get paid overtime. And Diane gets calls regardless whether, it's her time or not.
By having suggestions.
So the state is basically mandated or said that,
They're saying that the nurses in the local health department has to be on call for the schools 24/7.
Diane called Vandenberg. What are they doing? Are they paying?
are they using CARES money or how?
Yes, I believe it's in CARES money. Do you know? Did she tell you?
She didn't tell me, but I do believe she,
Yeah, CARES money will pay the staff screen.
yeah.
Oh, that's for the courthouse. I don't know.
I do believe that she's talked to Vandenberg about how they're doing with it.
Vandenberg County is allowing 8 hours comp time per week per person covering this. So they're getting 8 hours, apparently.
The bad thing about that is you can't go to comp time.
So, and they can't really take off right now because we need them in the office. Because we get calls from the time we get there, every one of us is answering some kind of COVID-19 phone call the whole day.
call Diane?
Um,
Since she's
They-
the director.
yes, like, I guess with the school incident this last weekend, I know she was in close contact with them. I haven't really got to discuss all of that part with them, but I know that they also call the other nurse. But I don't know if it's through Diane. I'm not sure if they're doing that actually. But if it's because we have a phone now, we'll just let the schools know that they need to start calling this phone number and, you know, on the weekends and stuff.
Do you have any idea how many calls they're getting from the school on the weekend?
Oh, I know it's all weekend, but I don't know how many calls. I know the one time they came in and the one nurse had spent like 16 hours over the weekend dealing with contacts and positive cases. And that was before school even started, so with the schools, I don't know.
So you're not for sure if CARES money is available to pay for overtime for this?
I would think that it
School-related.
would be, because they're paying and helping with everything else. But to say positively, I can't say that, but I would almost guess it would be. Because we're having to, through the emergency preparedness, he's kind of helping that. And I'm giving him all of the hours that we're using, even like at the courthouse, to screen and all that, that's getting, you know, reimbursed for us. So I would say this would be.
So we've received a set amount of money that's being utilized for various expenses related to the virus. There's still money available within that allotment that could cover this?
Or is there more
coming?
available, or how they paying that? Was it just a lump sum, or you just submit a bill every?
For our hours, we're just sending it in to the state.
Like weekly or bi-weekly or?
Just however we want it. We are up to date to, this last month, so I only have 2 pages on it for the girls uptown. And then whenever we did the overtime, I also put that time in the fee that we had sent, so that we should be getting that money back. But we spent that out of our overtime line.
Yeah. So then,
So we should be getting that back.
we do approve overtime for that, then would that go on that bill also?
I don't know if it go on that bill or if we're gonna have to just pay it out of our overtime line item.
See, I'm not sure, because we're paying all of this out of the line. So when that CARES money comes back, are we reimbursing
Our
those
line items,
lines? I don't know that we've got any money back for it.
we have not.
Yeah, no.
So we gotta figure out.
Mhm.
Because if we're getting reimbursed for that and we're constantly getting reimbursed, we could actually use that line item.
I'm doing it both ways. We could maybe set up an overtime line in that grant fund or that CARES Act money fund.
And
Because
just use it out of
it's
that.
working both ways. Some are getting reimbursed to the line that they spent out of originally, which your first money would do that. So that would replenish your overtime. But then if we wanted to do another line out of overtime to pay, and then that goes back into
So run
that.
it red.
Mm-hmm.
And then just always have them go straight into that line.
Yeah, because it specifically says it's reimbursable. But I think we have to be careful because December 31st is the cutoff on that.
We're using that.
Mhm.
And see, I don't know
Right.
if the state's going to make them do this through the whole school year, or if it's until we get a vaccine. And then, you know, then we'd be working for that.
I believe it's gonna have to be, can't make them work the weekend without payment. So we're gonna have to pay the overtime, and hopefully the CARES reimburses it, if not. I'll come for it, because it's mandated that we do it.
So how are you gonna track the overtime? For phone call, you're gonna give them a certain amount, I mean,
Or do you just allow the person that's handling the phone that weekend to have 8 hours of overtime?
right,
That's what Vanderbilt County Health Department is doing.
they're doing comp time,
Yeah,
That's not,
right,
that's what it is, because there could be weekends that
they don't do anything,
don't get it.
right?
So do you get paid for just carrying the phone and being on call? I mean.
That's what they're doing now for the dog phone.
Yes.
They're paying whoever carries that phone 4 hours of overtime a week, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
4 hours a
So
week,
you have it a month at a time.
yes.
And then you have to quarantine and do everything for that dog within that period.
So in that instance, if it's your week or you did it by the month, or what'd you say?
We do it by the month. You carry it for the whole month and you take care of all the animal bites for that month.
You get 4 hours of overtime
A
per
week.
week
For the-
for that. And then that decision was approved through the health department or who?
I think it's always been what.
She just told me that's
That's
what she
news
was
to me. I
doing.
mean, I never had heard that.
She just told me that's what she was doing. I'm assuming she got it through the health board.
Have you got a copy of the order from the state on what you're expected to do on the weekends? I mean, you said it was mandated to do that.
The state is requiring you to.
Is there a copy of that information?
I mean, I can, yes, she can, leave it next week, but I will let her know to do that.
You can always back pay. Yeah, if you, the nurse, it sounds like you just need to determine if they get one phone call from the school, that's an hour. So then whatever is determined that comes with that one phone call, however many phone calls they make, I mean, falls within that hour of pay, and don't do anything with Diane until you find out what the state says. Pay the nurse now as she's accumulating the time. And the fact that she is or isn't on duty, or they're always going to call Diane.
Right.
I mean, they're just always going to call her.
Is there any way to set up a school contact to be the person to call the health department with a school-related issue? You said they're supposed to be in contact with the schools, right?
Right.
Is that every parent, or is that the school administrator?
If it's contacts, if it's say a kid gets positive and, say a whole team, that whole team's gonna be quarantined. So they're gonna have to make phone calls to every person that's in quarantine. So whether you're talking to the person that has it that's positive, and then you're gonna have to get hold of all their contacts, and you have to go over all the guidelines, what they're supposed to be doing, how they're supposed to be doing it. And then they call them back a few days later to see how they're doing, and if they have any other questions, and then if they come up with questions, then they call them. Right now, most of them are using their personal phones, because that's what they had until we got this 24/7. So it could be 5 calls, or it can be 30 calls.
Almost like you need someone just to work with you.
And then you have to train them on the guidelines. So, I mean, if that's what you guys want them to do.
How much effort's been made to get some volunteers? I hear people from time to time, I don't know whether you can find people qualified or like this, but.
Well, the state is actually, for the schools, is requiring that it be a nurse.
Has there been any effort at all along that line?
Well, Diane has volunteered for the clerical for a long time.
Yes. So I don't see anyone like to volunteer their time for a whole weekend to deal with it. Um, I don't know if that would even be an option or not. That would be kind of too
Getting a private business, it's difficult to, you know, at the bank, we would pay somebody to be on call with the ATMs, and you just pay them so many hours overtime. Structure we can't go anywhere.
My wife worked in surgery for several years. Well, still does. When she was on call, she got paid like $2 an hour for being on call. And then if she got called in, then she got time and a half.
So 2 hours over on which they're making, but she's making now, and then if she gets called, and it's $2 an hour.
$2 an hour flat.
Just for carrying the phone.
And then if you didn't get called, you get maybe an extra
$50.
$50 a day for not.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
And
And
then,
then if they do have to do something, then it's time and a half for the hours that they work on that project?
yeah,
Okay.
that's how she did it for years that way. I'm just throwing that option out there because that way,
It's just having the phone line and have to be available.
yeah,
You get something no matter what.
yeah, because I can see that it's,
I'll be glad to give you a few names that you could talk to. It's private.
Okay, I'll let Diane know that.
so how do we want to proceed? Anybody?
Really, I don't know that it's, should the supervisor devise a plan and then we would say yes or no, we approve it? I mean, we don't know.
Instead of us setting it up.
Because, I mean, it's not, how are we to say what's the best way to do that?
I agree with you, Craig.
It's like that she needs to say, okay, well, it's supposed to be carried by an individual for the whole weekend. And
We'll prove
it. Based on my research and talking to other county health departments or private industry or whatnot, on-call people typically are paid so many dollars just to say that I've got this responsibility. And then whenever they actually perform duties, then they get paid. I mean, we can sit here all day. I have no idea what is fair.
Yeah.
And see, I
I think that should come from her, and she should present a plan to us as to, this is how I feel best to treat my employees fairly.
Yes, that's what, yeah. And
I
they're
agree.
doing the 8 hours, but it's comp time. and she knew we
But no
couldn't do
comp time. No
Right,
comp time.
right. She knew we couldn't do comp time, but
Right.
that's what other counties are doing.
I agree with Craig on that. As you-
So, I mean,
She needs to,
I
at
mean,
least
do you want
maybe,
her to be able to
maybe
have a
two
choice
options.
If she uses the overtime or the comp time?
She needs to come to us and
No, we
say,
don't
this is
have
what we want to do.
no comp time.
Okay,
So the question needs to be, is can CARES money cover this? How much money is available, and what is the plan that she thinks will
It's reasonable.
compensate?
And it'll be for Dana.
Right. Because,
so it wouldn't all fall on her. If we need to, can they hire a part-time nurse to help out with the weekend? I mean, that's a lot for one person to always.
I understand, I mean, we've never been down this before, so that's
I mean, I wouldn't
where
want
she,
to do
So what are other counties doing?
what are other people doing? I mean, we, I have
Well,
no
the
idea.
other counties have more nurses.
Especially Pike County
And then like,
Knox County and.
I mean, we have 4 different counties, how many schools in each of those counties. So I'm not sure, and I'm sure Vanderbilt County's that way, because they have a lot of schools.
Well, my first thought would be to check with DuBois County. They have 4 school corporations in their county.
Okay,
Knox County has 3 school corporations. Vanderbilt that's not in our league. Pike County, they have a single school corporation and a small population, so Pike County doesn't do us any good. Davies County, Indiana would work also. Multiple school corporations, similar population, rural. See what others are looking at doing. I mean,
Bring back a plan.
bring back a plan. I mean, I understand they need to be compensated on that, but I don't think as a council, we are in favor, and we basically passed a plan, no comp time. If you work it, you get paid for it.
okay.
You're being asked to carry out a duty that happens to fall over the weekend, so you should be compensated. But for us that has any idea what's going on in the health department and how to run it, and how to keep the morale up and all that, we can make a decision, and it'd be really the wrong decision. So it should come from the supervisor.
Okay, so since she has to do that already, then she just keeps track of the time they decide what to do, and she'll get back paid.
Are they gonna pay her back pay?
No,
They have to decide if they're gonna do that.
No.
She doesn't need to, she just needs to keep track of it. She needs to find out what those other counties are doing.
And then we'll,
Decide from there.
whatever we decide, we'll compensate her for how we decide
Do
to.
you guys want her to send a plan before the meeting?
Absolutely.
Since, so we can go ahead and get started, you guys decide.
I mean, at least we can't make a decision outside the meeting.
That's right.
But at least we understand what the planners would be thinking about us when we come in here. It's not.
You have to
You look at
figure it
the
out
plan,
by
understand, and make a decision that day. If you get the plan in advance, this is how I feel we treat the employee or employees in the best manner. We've had time to look at it and say, that's too much, or yeah, that's fine, or what's the plan be?
Okay, do you want her to have an A and B plan? And send it to you guys, or?
Sure.
And if it includes like an open-ended, if they end up spending both day, 16 hours, if her plan is to pay them anything but like a fixed weekend amount, of overtime, it'd be good to know how she plans on keeping track of it.
Yeah, because we'll have to keep track of it for particular accounts.
Like that phone calls and the time spent?
Yes, yes.
So she needs to put down actually who she's talking, like school district, she can't do the patients.
Obviously,
You should be able to, if it's all based on because you have that phone, I mean, you should be able to get the phone records and see how much time was spent over that.
Well, we just did a free, unlimited one from Walmart. We didn't actually put it on our phone plan. So just because we didn't know, if you're not gonna use it and you're gonna, that's an extra, we're trying to
So
take it in our budget.
it's a prepaid phone. Is that what you said?
Yes, that we did unlimited minutes on.
You said you get no accounting of time spent on the phone, and it was one of those I have never used once.
I haven't either, but we don't have a bill.
Tracks what you call it off. Focus on 4 minutes or 2 minutes or.
You can look at the phone, but after so many, they drop off.
You don't let get that many on there, till you write it down.
And then we do that,
For a bill.
yeah, we do that, then we have to be approved to get another phone to be on our budget, because I don't know if our phone line is just for what phones we have. And I don't know if the carriers would pay for that extra phone or not.
I'd say that it would.
Well, that's what happens, it should.
We just need to have some way we need to have a couple of plans from her, a way that you're gonna track the time. It's not like, you would hope that it doesn't consume the whole weekend.
All right, I'll let her know, and then we'll work on it next week.
All right.
All right, thanks.
You have to cover a lot.
Yeah.
All right. BZA appointment, we have one appointment to go to, already long.
The appointment, this body has one appointment, county commissioners have 3, and the APC has 1. Commissioners appointed two representatives. APC has appointed 1. You have to appoint 1 member. It cannot be an elected official. It cannot be an APC member, and it must be a citizen that lives outside of incorporated areas, that is an unincorporated area. This is a 4-year term.
I talked to a couple of people about it, and they had questions I didn't have answers for. What are the, like, will that board meet monthly, or is it on?
Well, yeah, I'd say initially it'll probably be monthly. Most counties do it quarterly after the initial setup, depending on what's going on. It'll be
And then as far as the people that have already been appointed, are there agriculture, I mean, or do you want to look at
The
it?
commissioners appointed Steve over to the APC. The APC appointed Mike McConnell. And then the commissioners appointed Robert Schleger. Those are the three members now, two of them are in the farming community.
How soon does this appointment need to be made?
Well, it should be better, but I know it's just
No
not
time.
this time, but by next month, we should have,
Okay.
we can have a name.
Thank you.
I would say if anybody's interested in being on it, they can contact us also.
So it's a county resident that does not live within the corporate limits of the town or city,
Yes, sir. And non-elected officials.
and not elected official. So it's not a town that already has zoning or anything like that. It's just any person that lives within the corporate limits of Somerville, Oakland City, Francisco, Owensville, wherever.
Jeez.
So you have to be basically
Wow.
a rural resident.
Yes.
That's a good point, Dan, There might be somebody that we're not thinking of that wants to be involved in the process and all that, so if they seek out their council representative and say that I'd be willing to serve, and then, hopefully we have some other people that come to mind or whatnot, and then have a decision for the October meeting.
Treasurer O'Neill requests to transfer $750 from 030365 State District Bank and $250 from 030363 dues, and $400 from 030313 mileage, and $200 from 030312 postage for a total of $1,600 into 030261 office records to update the treasurer's have a motion, any questions, comments?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sheriff requests transfers, and I don't. Okay. From transfer, 05, from 050123 communications officer, an amount of 14,000 into, overtime, 050128. And a motion to transfer. That's because you're still short, or was.
Well, on short development, you got vacations that closed dispatch, deputies, all. Right now, we've got $5,300.65 in that account currently.
Motion we allow the transfer.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And another from 1,222 010110 communications officer, amount of $1,000 into 1,222 010108 part-time, the pay part-time.
Make a motion to allow the $1,000 transfer into part-time.
Have a motion and a second. comment? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anything else?
I had a couple individuals call and was asking about, and I sent an email to you, Sherry, about the ag educator. That position's been in, or not been filled since the 1st of July. How, I'd like to find out as far as, I think they're having a hard time filling positions throughout the state. And sometimes it takes a long time. I think we went, the last time we went a long time without one. We send that money, that contract amount that we agreed to at budget time to Purdue, that is to furnish 3 positions or however many positions that our county typically has. That money is all sent to the state or to the Purdue in one lump sum. Is that a fair statement?
Hey, Linda. I would have thought I responded, but.
You did, and I read through it, but I didn't quite understand.
Right, I mean, I'm pretty sure it is all one payment. Linda, on that Purdue payment, okay, Craig had asked about the fact that we didn't have anyone in that position, but I actually think we do. Well, I mean, she's not here.
That Valerie, I don't know, they never explained who to.
So right, the way it's always been and the way you pay that, is that paid as a lump sum?
Yes, once a year.
And that is at what time of the year?
It was end of March, 1st of April.
Okay. So I guess I would like first to reach out to Purdue. By not having that position filled.
Andy called about the meeting, if there's gonna be breaks, so I don't know if somebody's already asked her to be here.
Who?
Andy Ice.
She emailed me as well, asked the time of the meeting and all.
Okay, so I don't know if she might be coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been at this time. Yeah. So the question would be is to reach out to the university and find out, do we get a refund if we're not being fully staffed since we paid for the money?
Okay.
And then how do we avoid that for 2021? We're only going to have 2 of the 3. We only send 2/3 of the money. Because when we basically included the budget, we were approving it because we thought we'd be fully staffed. So, you know, it's not fair to that office.
Pay it monthly or quarterly instead of.
Right. And then whenever it's not filled, then you say, okay, well, we're not sending the full amount. I don't know if it's possible. I don't understand the contract. I've never looked into it and all that. You know, in that situation, if you expect somebody's going to be there and they're not there, well, then that's a person that can't answer the phone or do other duties that's part of that office that we're paying for. We're not getting anything out of it. Thank you. I mean, I would hope they'd be filled, but I don't know if it's going to be filled anytime soon.
They have 2 people right now that are allowed to sign the claims.
Yeah, those are 2 educators that are there now. You know, but the question is saying, well, we're allowing, for instance, Knox County to cover. Well, that doesn't really, we're not getting.
There's Andy right here, right on the queue.
Welcome. So the question that I brought up is the fact that we're not fully staffed in the extension office. Our ag educator's been gone since the 1st of July or thereabouts. It's my understanding that we send the money to Purdue in a lump sum contract, March timeframe, something like that.
Yeah.
How do we go about asking for reimbursement if we're not fully staffed from Purdue?
I know that they've tried to in the past. Purdue keeps that money. It used to be an account that we could have access to use, but like they kind of keep control of it now if they're the university level. So you would have to go through, actually like our CED, he can't be here today, he's on a meeting, but you would go through him, would be a starting place, and then he would have to go to our district director, which is Julie Hart, and then she would have to go to Purdue. But they, I don't know how
why I say they've been real hesitant to,
So, I mean, one thing that could be addressed is we've already committed and we've already set the funding for 2020, 2021. Do we just send it monthly instead of having to be a one lump sum?
they bill us at the first of the year, and it's the one lump sum, it's the total. They won't bill us monthly. And they send those out pretty much right at the first of the year.
But if we're not fully staffed, we don't have to send the full amount.
Well, that's something you'll have to take up with them.
I would like to see us as a county look into that. Maybe that'll help to fill the position faster than so that it's fully staffed.
Yeah.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It's not fair to send our contribution if we're not getting our money for it.
Anything else? Oh, Paul.
Just want to make sure everybody was aware that Gibson County was awarded a grant from Okra, the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, a grant of $250,000. That grant goes towards businesses in the county that have been affected by the pandemic financially. And all they have to do is, Oakland City was approved for a grant a couple months ago, as was the city of Princeton. Now, Gibson County has been approved for $250,000. Fort Branch has been approved for $250,000, and Hubstone has been approved for maybe $150,000. And so, if you got the PPP grant before that was through SBA, you can apply for this grant. If you got a grant from the city of Oakland City or Princeton, you cannot apply for this grant. But we encourage all businesses to apply. That $250,000 would be for businesses that have 25 or less employees and something else. And a maximum of $10,000 per business. What will happen is if there's 25 businesses that are approved, then each would get $10,000. If there's 50 businesses that are approved, then each would get $5,000. Encourage, if you know people that businesses that have suffered, that are in the county or in one of those towns that I didn't mention, please encourage them to.
Thank you.
Just an update, the probation and public defender office building, the commissioners approved to advertise to take bids for that renovation. So that's an ongoing thing. I did talk to the architect on the jail project earlier this morning. He believes we'll have a report ready for you in a couple of weeks. So in a couple of weeks, I may be calling to set up some type of special session to at least go over that report. I'd get the jail committee involved.
Have you heard any progress from the commissioners regarding hiring a construction manager?
I have not
Okay.
moved on that yet. I think they really wanted to see about, what type of cost we're looking at, which site plan we're going to go at. I can't speak. I think that's waiting for the start.
Yeah, the construction manager's a big deal in mine.
For sure, and both of them that I spoke with indicated that the earlier they come in on the process, the more money they have to pay back. I don't know, I feel like they need to move on hiring somebody that represents the process. They probably should have already had somebody. It's gonna be hard to move on to the next step without them coming up with something there.
Anything else?
Make that motion.